Hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining us for a campus and community safety forum. Before we get started with the program, I do want to direct you to the live captioning link in the session description on YouTube. Live captioning is being brought to us by our McBurney Disability Resource Center here on campus. So a special thank you for the live captioning of this evening's event. My name is Samantha McCabe. I am the Director of International Student Services, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, the International Student Services, or ISS office here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison for this very important discussion on campus and community safety. We are very grateful to have representatives from our University of Wisconsin Police Department, our City of Madison Police Department, the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards, as well as our Dean of Students Office, to discuss the role of their department in our shared mission to ensure our students have access to a safe living and learning environment while they're here at UW-Madison. This discussion will be recorded and will be captioned and posted on our website by the end of the week. So we do encourage you to join into the recording of this session as well. I would now like to turn it over to our University of Wisconsin Police Department Chief Roman to introduce the university jurisdiction, or the geographic area where our UW Police Department responds to incidents, as well as resources to stay alert and stay connected to our campus safety initiatives. Chief Roman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for facilitating this conversation. I appreciate that. I wanted to first welcome everybody, not just to this conversation, but for those of you who are perhaps new to this community and new to campus, welcome. And I hope that even beyond today's conversation, that if ever there is something that you have concerns about with respect to your safety or your experience here on campus, that you would feel free to contact me or anybody from the University Police Department here. We are here to support all of you and everyone in this community in their experience here on campus. So I'll start first with an explanation because this is one of those points that can often confuse our students and others on campus, is what area we as a police department are primarily responsible for and how that fits in with our partners at the City of Madison Police Department. So we have a lovely map that can show that shows the area that we are responsible for. It's the area that is shaded here in red. So this is essentially all of our campus facilities, buildings, properties that are university properties. And so you can see it's a pretty broad area from the west all the way downtown to the east, and then bordered on the north by the lake, and just south of campus, south of Camp Randall, is sort of the general area that we are responsible for. So what that means is that if there is any call that for service that anybody in that campus community would call us and ask us to respond or support them, anybody in that area, we would be the department that would respond. Now, outside of that shaded area is where the City of Madison Police Department would be the ones that would primarily respond to assist anybody in need. Now, we work very closely together with the City Police Department. We communicate, and we often will respond together to certain issues that are happening in the city. but just adjacent to campus. And so we can certainly answer more questions about that partnership, but just know that we have our own jurisdiction, our own geographic area that we police, that we, provide a response to, and proactive support as well. The other thing that I know that it can at times create some question is around our program in which we are able to notify our campus community about various emergencies that are happening on campus. And so this can be a confusing system, and I'm hoping that I can just sort of give you a quick overview here to help explain some of the things that we provide. So a WISC alert is an alert, a notification that all of our campus community will receive when there is some sort of an active emergency that is happening on campus and that requires the community to take certain steps in order to stay safe. And so those are the criteria. It would have to be something that is currently happening, so not something that has happened in the past or is already sort of something that has resolved in some way, or that the threat is over. It has to be something that's currently happening. And so these are alerts in which we will send out a brief notification by text on all of the cell phones, by social media, and also through email. So we cover all our bases in notifying our community when these emergencies are actively occurring. These notifications will be very brief. They'll provide only that information that is necessary for us to inform our community and provide them with some steps that they can take in order to make themselves safe. We will also provide updates as the incident continues, and we'll send a final message when the situation has been cleared or resolved, and that campus can return to sort of normal operations and movements. And so all of those things will happen when you receive that WISC alert. We also have some alerts, that are for our off-campus area. And this is, again, areas where campus might be impacted because of the proximity of an incident that's occurring in the city. And we work hard to communicate and be in touch with our partners at the city to provide some notifications when possible on those same kinds of situations that may be happening just off campus, but might still have some impact on our campus community and our students who live off campus as well. One of the other topics that, again, we can hear quite often from our community overall, but oftentimes from our international students, it involves online scams and sort of fraudulent contacts that some of our international students, but others as well, can sometimes fall victim to. And so we provide a few reminders and points of information for all of you here to just know that a police officer or a government agent will never actually demand payment or expect you to provide something to them over the phone or online. This is a common scheme that we have seen, unfortunately, and sometimes the callers can be quite convincing. And too often we'll have some folks who will then follow through with providing that caller with sensitive information, payment, and other things that impact them financially. So if someone does happen to contact you and asks you to cash a check or to purchase gift cards or any such type of activity, please know that this is a scam, that police departments and federal and government agents will not contact you in this way and ask those things. If you're being offered money, again, be suspicious of that. If you're not providing any service, that you can tie that request or that offer to specifically, because again, that is most likely somebody who is trying to scam you. And if you're not ever sure, or you have your doubts or your suspicions, and you ask questions and you just don't get the answers that you like or that make sense to you, then please just hang up and call us. I know our number is in a number of different places, our phone number, but we'll make sure that you have that number. And please call us, because we not only want that information, but want to obviously offer any assistance we can in the moment if needed. And lastly, I'll just point to a list of resources that we have available. This is just a handful for those of you who would like more information on our department, the various services that we provide, and to maybe sort of learn more about our department. You're welcome to visit our website. There's a whole lot of information on the website about UW-PD, but here we have just a few quick numbers to reference. For emergency, of course, you're going to call 911. But if you have questions or something that is occurring that you would like to speak to a member of our department about that doesn't rise to the level of an emergency, we have a non-emergency number, which you can see here as well. Email is a great way to get in touch with us as well if there's not something that you need sort of imminently. And again, I mentioned the website, and for further explanation of some of the other ways in which we alert our community when crimes or emergencies are occurring, you can take a look at the website as well under the WISC alerts page. So that's what I'll stop with for now. Again, I hope this is the beginning of a conversation that is ongoing. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of my staff. With that, I'm going to turn it over to a great partner over at the City of Madison Police Department, Assistant Chief Brian Austin.
Thank you, Chief Roman. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you all and tell you a little bit about the Madison Police Department. Chief Roman and I have known each other for over 20 years and started out at MPD and built a very good working relationship, which I'm pleased to say has continued on through her journey at UW Police Department. A little bit about Madison Police Department. We are the municipal law enforcement agency for the city of Madison. We have about 600 members in our police department. About 500 of those are law enforcement officers, and the remainder are our fantastic support staff that help with all the variety of administration duties that come with running a full service police department. We're divided into 6 police districts. We have patrol officers and detectives and other officers assigned to each district. Primarily, the downtown area is served by our central district, but as you can see from Chief Roman's map, the UW properties are quite expansive, and I would say the vast majority of our police districts have some involvement with the UW system. So we work very much in partnership with the UW Police Department and the University of Wisconsin to make sure people get the assistance they want. I'm the Assistant Chief of Investigative Services, so I oversee our detective cadre. When people call 911, generally speaking, a uniformed patrol officer is sent to the call. But for those instances that require follow-up investigation, crimes that cannot be resolved right away, a detective may be assigned to that case. And we have approximately 60 detectives in MPD that investigate a variety of different specialties, violent crimes, sensitive crimes, financial crimes, and the like. So whatever issues people are having, generally speaking, we have people with that specialty at MPD who are able to assist people navigate that process. We are very used to dealing with the UW community. We consider that part of our community in Madison. I'm a proud UW graduate myself, and we feel that the campus adds a lot of enrichment to our community, and we are very, very happy to serve the campus community. I think you'll find our staff is very approachable. We absolutely want to make international students feel welcome here, feel safe here while they're attending the UW, and whatever we can do to assist you with that and to make this a better experience, we are happy to do so, and welcome that opportunity. So I think in general, you'll find our department very approachable. Our website has a lot of information about our police department, cityofmadison.com/police. And you can peruse our website and find a variety of information about our different sections, different areas that we provide services for, as mundane as parking enforcement, going all the way up to very serious crimes. So we welcome you to Madison. We look forward to working with you, and we are here as a resource anytime you need it.
Great. Thank you so much, Assistant Chief Austin, for that overview of Madison Police Department. I certainly will have some follow-up questions for both you and Chief Roman at the end of our prepared statements. But I now want to turn it over, coming back to campus, to our UW-Madison campus, and our Director of the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards, Tanya Schmidt. If Tanya, could you please provide an overview of what a non-academic misconduct process may look like, from the reporting to the investigation, what the student rights are, and kind of demystifying that process and what support services your office can offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Sam. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Schmidt. I use she and hers pronouns. And as Sam said, I'm the Director of the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards here at UW-Madison. The Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards responds to incidents that happen both on campus and off campus when the behavior violates our University of Wisconsin System Chapter 17 Student Disciplinary Code of Conduct. So if the person who violates our UW-Madison Code of Conduct is a current student at UW-Madison, we initiate a disciplinary investigation. If the person who perpetrated the behavior is not a student, we do not have jurisdiction to investigate or discipline that person. But again, getting back to if the person is a student, we have jurisdiction both on campus, so think back to Chief Roman's map that she shared at the beginning of the program, and also off campus. So there is a bit of a higher threshold if we are going to be investigating campus or situations involve behavior off campus, and they might be occurring in the city of Madison. And just my slide shows that they have to be a serious criminal offense. The student must present a danger or threat to the health or safety of themselves or others. And then the behavior has to demonstrate a pattern of behavior that seriously impairs the university's ability to fulfill its missions. So one of those three criteria have to be met in order for us to adjudicate off-campus locations. When initiating an investigation, if the person does have student status, we will contact students individually and ask them to meet with us. This affords students a very important right called due process. We want to tell them what they have been accused of. We want to go through the codes of conduct in Chapter 17 that they may have violated, and we want to give them an opportunity to respond to those allegations. We then investigate other witnesses or people involved in the situation, and then we decide if the student is responsible or not for violating our code of conduct. And I do want to emphasize that even if a group of students is alleged to have violated any type of code of conduct violation, we will contact them individually to get their statements so that they can just speak from their own perspective. But we will investigate everybody in that situation to decide if they're responsible or not. At that point, if we do find students responsible for a violation of the code of conduct, we would recommend a sanction that could affect their ability to be a student in good standing on our campus. There's a variety of different sanctions that we can recommend, ranging from a university reprimand, which is a warning from the university, all the way up to suspension and expulsion, which separates them from the university. We are based in education. Our process is very educational in nature, and we will give sanctions out, but we also want to make sure that students are learning from whatever behaviors that they have been involved in so that they can hopefully make some changes and not see themselves in those situations in the future. We do also have a couple levels of appeal. So if a student is found responsible for a non-academic misconduct situation and they disagree with any of the sanctions or the decisions made, they can request a hearing, and there's another hearing panel or advisor that will make a decision based on their presentation and then the presentation from our office. We also have other ways to deal with misconduct that are available to students. So if there is a conflict between two students, we have what's called a no contact directive. This is when a situation may not rise specifically to a code of conduct violation, but it's really within the best interest that those two parties not have any further contact with each other. In those cases, we would reach out. It's not a disciplinary sanction. It's not even part of our disciplinary process. It is simply a reasonable request from a university official for those two parties to not have contact with each other so that whatever's happening between them does not escalate to something more that could be a violation of our student code of conduct. That no contact directive would be issued to both students. And then if there was a violation, we would do a formal investigation to see if the student actually did violate that. The other thing I want to mention is that we have other options for having conflicts resolved. And those are restorative justice options. It's not on your slide here, but we offer opportunities for students who may be in conflict with each other to come together and talk about that conflict and try to discuss how they've been harmed or impacted, and then what ways maybe they could work to repair the harm that has been done to the other person. So really it's getting in community together, talking through that conflict and trying to come to a resolution together instead of doing something punitive like a disciplinary action. So that is another offering that our office makes to students on our campus. And then finally, the last link on my slide is how you can report incidents directly to our office. This is a direct link that you can write to us and let us know what happened, when the incident happened, who was involved, what happened in it. And then we would follow up with you to get any additional information. And then if it rose to the level of a conduct situation, we would go that route. If it was something where you wanted a no contact directive, we could talk through that. And then finally, if you were interested in restorative justice options, we could also explore those at the time as well. When in doubt, you can fill out this form, or you can also contact our office. I know that our website is being made available to you. So please feel free to check in with us. If something's going on, we are happy to walk through the situation with you and explore what might be best for your situation. We care about you, your safety, and your well-being on this campus, and encourage you to reach out if there's anything that we can help you with. Thank you.
Much, Tanya, for that very helpful overview of the student conduct process, especially on the non-academic side. Your office also works with academic misconduct issues. I now want to turn it over to another colleague of Tanya's within the Dean of Students office here on campus. Jennifer, our Assistant Director for Bias Response, is going to talk a little bit about what that reporting process looks like on campus, how that is reviewed viewed from a campus perspective, who's involved in that process, and what resources might be available to a student or group of students who may report an incident of hate or bias, as well as the myriad resources that our Dean of Students office provides to students every single day. Thanks, Jennifer.
Hello, everyone. I am Jennifer Horace. I'm here from the Dean of Students office. I don't know how familiar some of you are with the Dean of Students office, but our work entails providing support and assistance to students who are trying to navigate life in our campus, whether they're in personal crisis or just don't know who else to talk to about the situation. Oftentimes, students will come to our office and seek support or just help trying to get connected to resources. A part of that work involves helping students who've experienced hate or bias incidents, and we provide a hate and bias reporting form that is on our website, and I believe you all will be provided that link in the chat. But that is a part of our work, and part of that work involves having this clear definition of what is bias. So I'm sure that will come up on the screen in a second, a slide that will describe what bias is here on our campus. While we have a very specific definition, part of what you'll see is that, and I'm not going to read it word for word for you, but part of what you'll see is that it's based on actual or perceived identities. And the reason we allow that is because sometimes things will happen to you and it's not about your specific identity, but it's about a perceived identity. And we accept all reports about incidents. And also, if you don't see a specific identity listed in this definition, you can still submit a report. We don't say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not our area. Feel free to submit a report and we will work with you to see what kind of support resources are available on our campus and what the university can do to make sure that you are successful here as a student. One thing that I do want to make clear that while we accept bias incident reports, there is a difference between a bias incident and a hate crime. So I have a slide that basically compares and contrasts the two. Oftentimes, bias incidents involve speech or written or visuals or words. They are typically microaggressions, and it can impact an individual person or a larger group. But they are not hate crimes, which hate crimes are addressed by our police departments and the individuals who spoke at the start of our conversation today. So when you're reporting to our office, it's typically not crimes, but generally bias incidents. And if you have contacted our office via the bias form, if you reach out to us, what we will do is help you navigate to the appropriate resource or individual or office that you should be speaking to about that incident. So on the next slide, you'll see kind of a flow chart. And this is very general, but this is what happens when we receive a bias incident report. A team member, typically myself or one of my colleagues, will reach out to the person who was impacted or the person who submitted the report, and we help them navigate to the appropriate support resources, whether that is through university housing, sometimes that is through McBurney, sometimes that is through the Multicultural Student Center. We will make sure that they receive the support that they need, because we know experiencing something like that can be very stressful and very impactful on your student life. So we want to take care of you first, and then we determine what you want to do next. Do you want to be connected to the Office of Compliance, where they investigate harassment and discrimination, to the Student Conduct Office, to the police department, and however what those next steps would be. So my role is just to get you connected to support resources and to help you navigate, okay, what do we want to happen next? And I'm happy to answer questions as needed. Feel free to reach out to the Dean of Students office as you move throughout your time here at UW-Madison. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for providing that very helpful overview. And I can personally attest to what a great support resource our Dean of Students office is, both from when I was a student as well as my many years working as an administrator on this campus. So when in doubt, the Dean of Students office is definitely a wonderful location to start and ask the question, and they will make sure that you get connected to the appropriate resources available to you, both on campus and in the community. So following the prepared remarks from our colleagues that we heard from, I have a few just follow-up questions. And I want to start first with, we talked about if there is an emergency, calling 911. So 911 is the nationwide, throughout the United States, the phone number that you would dial from any phone, your cell phone or a landline, if you are in an emergency situation. Assistant Chief Austin, could you kind of talk us through, if I am a victim or a witness to a crime that is occurring within our city of Madison, and I call the police or I call 911, what does that process look like? What can I expect to hear on the other end? What questions might I be asked? And you had mentioned that typically a uniformed officer may respond to the scene. What does that look like? What am I visually looking for if I am, in an emergency situation and reporting this to 911? And Chief Norman, you may also have some input in this from our campus perspective as well. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So 911 is a fantastic system. It gets people help right away when they need it the most. When somebody calls 911, it goes through the Dane County 911 Center, which is a countywide communication center with trained dispatchers who will ask you the relevant questions. What kind of emergency are you having? They'll determine where the incident is taking place, and that is important because that will dictate which officers they send, which department. If it's in the city of Madison, which district officers will respond. But they're able to do that instantaneously and get help started as soon as they talk to you. Dispatchers will ask you a number of questions about the nature of the emergency. If it's a medical emergency, they'll also dispatch the fire department. Our fire department has a rescue component to it, with trained paramedics who will respond with an ambulance. So once the address and the nature of the emergency is determined, the dispatch center will dispatch uniformed police officers. They will be wearing the uniform that I'm wearing. It's a dark blue uniform with Madison Police Department patches. They'll have a badge. They'll have a name tag. So when officers respond, you should be able to immediately recognize them as being police officers. And depending on the nature of the emergency, they'll proceed from there. But once they arrive, hopefully they'll help stabilize the scene, get the information from you that you want to provide and need to provide, and start figuring out how to resolve the situation. So that's kind of an overview of the 911 system. But the key takeaway is it's a very fast system. Our response times are very good in the city of Madison, as are UW's. And when you call 911 and need help, there will be somebody there very quickly to assist you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Chief Roman, anything you want to add from a campus perspective of how your officers may respond if the emergency is here on campus?
Thank you. No, it's very similar to what Assistant Chief Austin outlined. I will just add that if the emergency is happening on campus and somebody uses their cell phone to dial 911, please know that will still get routed to us. As Assistant Chief Austin noted, that the dispatchers can ascertain very, very quickly where the call is coming from and whether that's on campus and what's needed there. And they have a direct link to our dispatch center, which is a separate dispatch center, but connected to the Dane County 911 center. And so if somebody is on campus and they use their cell phone to dial 911, it'll first go to the county center, who will then very quickly, with the push of a button, send it on over to our dispatchers to send our officers to respond in the same manner that Brian talked about in terms of the uniform. You can see it will look like this, and all of the rest is the same as what the city's response would be. If you're in a building on campus and you use one of the desk phones or a landline that's in any of our buildings and dial 911 from that phone, that will go directly to our dispatch center, and it will bypass the 911 county's center.
Thank you. And I'm curious also, Chief Roman, about the call boxes that we see on campus, often lit up with a blue light, which is much more recognizable when it's dark outside, which it is starting to become dark way earlier as we approach the winter season here in Madison. If I press that button on a call box that are placed around campus, does that also go to your dispatch center?
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Those are scattered throughout campus. And as you said, they're illuminated primarily at night with that blue light. And we test those systems regularly. We have a system of checking those to make sure that they're functioning. And yes, those are available. If somebody does not have a cell phone or can't get to their cell phone or any other means to dial, then yes, they press the button on those special phones and they will come directly to us and help will be sent.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And one thing that I just want to mention with cell phones throughout the US, even if you may not have data or minutes left to make phone calls to a friend or a family member, dialing 911 or making an emergency phone call is typically something you can do as long as you can access your cell phone. So you are not cut off from dialing 911 in the case of an emergency just because you may not have paid a cell phone bill or you may have run out of minutes on a prepaid plan. Those are just a couple of examples there. I'm very glad that Chief Roman brought up the scams. This is something that within International Student Services, and I know certainly our police departments and Dean of Students Office, we very frequently receive reports of scams of various levels. And oftentimes it is students reaching out to us to say, is this a scam? It seems something doesn't feel right in my gut, and it's just a second set of eyes on something. My office is certainly here to support and review those scams as well, and help you with even federal reporting of those scams. But Chief Roman, you had mentioned something that police officers aren't going to call you and ask you for money. They're not going to request that you go to the local Walgreens or CVS drugstore to buy gift cards and pay them. So I have a broader question for either Chief Roman or Assistant Chief Austin. Do you ever have to pay for police or fire or emergency services in the U.S.? Is it ever appropriate to pay a police officer in cash or in any other way, or the fire department? Can you talk to us about what that kind of culture looks like here in the U.S.?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. No, you would never be expected, nor should you pay an officer or any law enforcement official in this country for any of their services or for any kind of arrangement. Those services are covered through other ways in terms of taxes and that sort of thing. So that would be a clear red flag if anybody was purporting to request or require payment for any police services. Another angle on the scams that I mentioned a couple in terms of those gift cards or sort of asking for some type of payment. Some of these can get quite serious, in which the callers are posing as federal agents, and in some cases with immigration services, and can threaten some sort of legal consequence or arrest if the person on the other end of the call doesn't do X, Y, or Z, that the demands might be made that often will involve some exchange of money. Again, that's a clear indication that if there's any money exchange asserted or requested, that is not a legitimate law enforcement police official in this country. So I don't know if Brian had anything to add to that.
No, I think that covers it. They can get quite insistent over the phone if you do get a phone call, and they can be quite convincing. So as Chief Roman said, if there is any request for money whatsoever over the phone or via email, that is definitely a scam, and you should hang up and call your local police department and report that. But no MPD officers will contact you to take money. Any exchange of money for any kind of governmental services would take place at the established offices of that governmental agency, just like if you go to pay a student fee on campus. If you ended up getting a traffic ticket, for instance, in the city of Madison, there's a very well-defined process. It does not happen on site, and you will be given paperwork which very clearly articulates how you should go about doing that. So any on-demand request for money is most certainly a scam, and no matter how insistent the caller is.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for bringing up that there are parking fines and there are some legitimate reasons why you would need to pay a police department. And I can certainly attest to the parking tickets, but it is a very clear and easy process where that is easily identified as the Madison, the City of Madison Police Department that you're paying. Or if you're in Milwaukee or anywhere, it is very, very easy to identify with the paperwork that they give you. So I want to kind of go back and ask a clarifying question, Jennifer, to you. You had mentioned through the hate and bias reporting and response that many of the reports that you see within the Dean of Students office, on that very helpful slide comparing hate crimes and bias response, microaggressions, and many of our international students and many students on campus at UW-Madison in general have been on the receiving end of microaggressions from their peers. Can you talk to us about what a microaggression is, maybe some examples that you have seen, and what then that response looks like? And Tanya, if you can maybe also jump in there as well, because you had mentioned the educational approach that the Dean of Students office takes, and especially that restorative justice approach. And so I'm curious to hear first from Jennifer on defining more of what a microaggression is, and Tanya, what that kind of educational approach that the Dean of Students office takes in response. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for that. So oftentimes marginalized groups on our campus will experience being treated differently based on their identity, whether it is their ethnicity, nationality, faith, tradition, etc., where someone doesn't directly state that I am treating you differently because of XYZ identity, but they are being treated differently than their peers, whether it's being asked to wait, to they go up to ask TA question. TA's like, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. I'm gonna talk to these other students first, because you will take too long for you to articulate yourself. Sometimes they will, sometimes people will make, based on a stereotype about a specific population, they'll make a comment about an individual that could be considered a microaggression. So there's lots of ways microaggressions will manifest. But when we receive those reports, we will talk to you about what happened, what was going on in the situation, if we know the parties involved, and how we want to make a path forward. Whether that is, we want to do one of those restorative conversations that Dean Schmidt was talking about, and was saying that we want to meet with that person and talk about how that impacted them, or if they would prefer that somebody from my team, or we have a conversation with that person and say, what was going on in the situation? Did you understand that you were making a decision based off a stereotype about an individual or population in that space?
Yeah, and I can just jump in and say, oftentimes it may look like we're not doing anything because maybe you think that a misconduct incident and a punishment is the best situation to happen in all of these harmful activities. Unfortunately, people do say some really harmful things and hateful things. And, we are here to hopefully help that student understand that what they said or did was harmful to another individual and encourage them to have dialogue in either a restorative circle or a restorative conversation, or even we may just meet with the student and explain, hey, this happened. We got this report. The other person isn't interested in having an educational conversation with you, but I want to help you because that's what college is all about, is learning that sometimes when we do things or say things, they really impact others in a very negative way. And we want people to know that information and be educated about that information. So again, they can hopefully make different decisions in the future. So it's just more so having a conversation with a student to help them understand that. And I know that doesn't feel like we're doing something, but we are helping that student understand the harm that they cause to another individual in the same Badger community. We're all a big Badger family, and we want to make sure that we're not harming other people.
Can I jump in and make another comment as well? So our bias reporting process also allows students to report faculty or staff behavior as well. So if a faculty or staff member does something that impacts you negatively as well, feel free to report that to the Dean of Students office, and we can help you navigate what the next step should look like for that as well.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And I think that just goes to reiterate that it is the entire campus community that we are looking at and holding accountable, that we are trying to really build and create this inclusive living and learning environment that does include our faculty and staff as much as it does our students. So I wanted to ask Chief Roman and others, I'm sure the Dean of Students Office could also jump in here, but for those, especially the families and parents who may be listening in either live or on our recording, we do have, and especially on the UW-PD, the University of Wisconsin Police Department website, has a tremendous number of resources to stay safe in the community, on campus as well as in our community. And just a couple of them that I'm aware of on campus are Safe Walk and the Whisk Guardian app. And, I know that safety, especially after hours, studying at college library until 1 or 2 in the morning, we study really hard and sometimes, we're walking back to our either on-campus dorm or our off-campus apartment. When it's late at night, we might be alone. We definitely want to remove those earbuds or remove the headphones that we like to walk with. But can you give us a little bit more information on some of the resources and kind of buddy resources that we have to stay safe?
Absolutely. Yes. The Safe Walk program is an excellent resource and available to all, again, who might need an escort or some company getting from point A to point B while they're on campus. Now, this service does not go off campus. So if our students are in the downtown area or off campus, we would ask them to take all of the other sorts of precautions that we advise our students to be taking at all times when they're walking around campus, to be aware of their surroundings, to not have their heads sort of buried in their iPhones. And of course, you mentioned the earbuds and how those can interfere with that ability to just be aware of what's happening around you. But the WISC Guardian application is a great supplement as well. And not a lot of our students are aware of this particular resource. And there's a lot of different applications now that are out there for cell phones that kind of do similar things. But the one that we have sort of brought on board, and the Associated Students of Madison, the shared governance group, actually helped point us in this direction, and were partners with us on bringing this to campus, is a great resource. And I'm going to try to hold this up so you can kind of see. I've got mine open on my phone here. And what it does is it allows you to program in ahead of time some key information that can be accessed very quickly if you need it. And one of the neat features of this is you can sort of set a timer on this application. So if you're walking from a library back to the res hall, you can have loaded into the phone, into the application, some of your friends and their contact information. And the application will keep track of your progress on getting to your destination. And if you're delayed in reaching your destination, the application can automatically reach out to either emergency services or in some cases to those contacts that you list into the phone to kind of do a welfare check on your status. And so that's just one of the application's features. There's some other things there as well, but that's just a tool that we think is helpful, since most students are walking around with their cell phones. That can be something that just provides them with a little extra reassurance that they've got that support system sort of built in should they need that. So SafeWalk and the WISC Guardian app, those are great resources. But as you said, some of the best things we can do is just to make sure that we're walking together when possible with a friend, or take advantage of these escorts that are through the campus, and just be aware of what's going on around you.
Wonderful, thank you. I know the WISC Guardian app is definitely one that I keep on my phone, and have also told many students about. I think something else that's also important for students to remember is to always keep your emergency contact information updated. That is, in the worst case scenario, when we need to get a hold or get in touch with someone because you have been in an emergency situation, that we're able to contact someone and let them know, so that we can provide the fullest services and responses. And I'm sure Chief Roman has more to say on that end as well. So please.
Well, I just wanted to add that we've pointed to a couple of different resources that are available. And another, I think, bonus to that WISC Guardian app is that it collects some of those resources to have them all in one place. So again, if you can see my phone here, there's a directory here. And when I press that directory, you get a list of, and now that's blurry, I see that's probably dizzying, but it lists right there at a one touch our dispatch, the 911, Madison Police is located here, our UHS crisis services, SafeWalk is also listed here. So it kind of collects all of those resources in one place on this app so that it's very easy to access. And there's also a direct line to our dispatch, again, to get that immediate response as needed. But of course, 911 always works the quickest as well. So nice one-stop shopping there with the app, and you can find it for Android or iPhone as well. So
that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And it's great that also we do have our University Health Services, Mental Health Services crisis line information in there, which is also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So know that as a student, you are never alone here. We are here as a campus community, as well as you can see, having the City of Madison support for you during your time as a student here on campus, and hopefully that eases the anxieties of our parents of international students and their families in sending their students to another country to study, whether it be for a short period of time or a long period of time. I know personally my parents and family members would have been so appreciative to have an app like the WIS Guardian, or to know of offices like the Dean of Students office or local police departments, understanding how they work and how they respond, to know that I would be safer during my study abroad experiences. But please do know that as a student here at UW-Madison, you have this entire community here to support you. And to steal Tanya's line that she used earlier, we care about you, and we care very deeply about the safety and wellness of each and every one of our students on campus. And at International Student Services, we certainly understand the different levels of difficulties in studying in a new country, especially for the first time, and navigating the new cultural nuances of your new home and campus. So please do know that you have each and every one of us here that was on the call, as well as a broader campus and community support system for all of your safety and wellness needs. And with that, unless anyone has any concluding remarks that they would like to share with our audience, this recording will be made available if you were not able to join into our live stream. But we certainly appreciate you taking the time and extending my sincerest gratitude to each and every one of our panelists today, to have Chief Roman, Assistant Chief Austin, Assistant Director Jennifer Horace, and our Assistant Dean and Director Tanya Schmidt here. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we could not offer the support that we do without the help of each and every one of you, and the endless support that your staff offer to our students as well. So thank you very much. And until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.